Welcome to a tri-weekly edition of the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. Today I'm excited because we get to talk players, which I think is my favorite thing to do. I think you probably agree on that. We are doing breakouts today. I mean, we're at week 7. I think it's about that time where you've had some time to sort out the variants. The guys who are playing good right now is the guys who are expecting to play good moving forward. But we're not talking about the Jackson Smith and Jigbas of the world where yeah, you were great last year. People kind of expected you to take a step up, and you've taken that big step up. We're going to talk about some players that are studs, that are quality starters, but are maybe flying under the radar a little bit, and I'm really excited. Victor, are you ready to get kinky?
Let's get kinky. You know what? It's really fun to talk predictions and teams and all that, and yeah, of course, we love talking scheme, and it's really cool to be able to talk about that, and it's definitely fun, but man, when you're not talking about the players as much, of course you talk about players and predictions, but it's more focused on how they interact with each other and the schemes and how the teams will interact with each other. Just talking about how a ball player can do on any given week is not as much of predictions. It's definitely a part of it, but getting to the nitty-gritty of these guys and talking about them, it's really fun. It's why we love draft season so much.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I mean, when we just get to go through a guy's tape and just talk about him, rave about a guy we love, it's just the best part of talking about football, in my opinion, is talking about individual players and doing their things.
And I think the best part of this episode is we are calling out guys that maybe aren't so mainstream yet, but factors in the league that are probably going to be around to stay. Guys we're going to be talking about in prediction episodes moving forward.
Exactly. I love this episode. I think this is our first. We did something similar to it sort of last year, but not really as an episode. So I love talking about guys who are on the up and up. All these guys deserve to be talked about, and some of them have been a little bit. Some of them have really just been not had their name mentioned. They're all going to get talked about today, so it's going to be a really good one.
But before we get into that, this is a tri-weekly episode, so we got to start things off with our kink of the week. And look, mine isn't super complex this week. It's just Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
In general. He's finally emerged as, look, I know Jonathan Taylor exists. CMC is still really good when he's healthy, but maybe the best running back in the NFL. It was last week when the Falcons went on the road, right? No, that one was in Atlanta.
Yep.
But they went and knocked off the Buffalo Bills. The run game was a massive component of that one, and a huge part of that was Bijan Robinson with, I think it was a 71-yard touchdown.
81.
That feels like it could be a turning point for him because if you've had one knock on Bijan throughout the first couple seasons of his career, there's maybe 10% too much dancing around at the line of scrimmage. He's not the best athlete at the position in the entire NFL. If he can break off those big chunk runs a little bit more consistently, we're going to be talking about an even more game-wrecking force. And hey, that is the longest run in the NFL season so far. A big statement from Bijan Robinson. 38.5% missed tackle rate.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
That's obviously first in the NFL.
That's ridiculous for college. Like, that's an insane college number. You put that in the NFL, it's superhuman.
He's not just some I'm going to juke you out and you're not going to touch me guy either. 4.59 yards after contact. Also first in the NFL. 2.5 yards per route run. Third in the NFL. So, just like throwing that in there for good measure. And then what really triggered me, what made me decide that Bijan Robinson is what I'm feeling into this week, I was watching Thursday Night Football. And he was in a Colgate commercial, and the commercial made me want to buy Colgate products. I mean, it wasn't anything special. It was just Bijan Robinson brushing his teeth and saying something like, oh, this toothpaste prepares me for cavities. And it's like, Bijan Robinson is good at everything. He's even like a good pass protector, usually good ball security.
Best in the league.
If he is using Colgate toothpaste, that means that Colgate toothpaste is the best. It's the tool to get the job done. I think I'm a Colgate-only guy now.
Yeah, 100%. I get it. This is why I only use Nationwide. It's because Peyton Manning. If he's that smart at the line of scrimmage, you think he's not going to pick his insurance provider smartly? No.
Of course.
That's next level startup. He's a stud. I think his longest run before that was less than 40 yards, though, which was an insane stat. He's never had a run longer than 40, I believe.
That's what it's felt like watching Bijan Robinson because you watch him and you're looking at an elite player, but it's where are the highlight reels? Where are the things that...
Well, there's a lot of highlight reels. It's just not long runs.
Where are the long touchdowns? Where are those at? They're coming. You just hadn't had them yet.
He's a superstar, but he does have like around 4.45 speed. There are faster corners and DBs who will get him. And one did get him on that play. It's just he told him to sit down, and he did, and then he ran into the end zone. That tends to work pretty well for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so on to mine?
Yep.
We good? All right. So my kink of the week is going to be a little bit more, not complex, but more game sort of thing. Because, we like to split it up. But I'm going to just be talking today about the switch concept, or whatever you want to call it, post-wheel, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been seeing it run all the time. This has been one of the most effective concepts, route combos, in the entire league this year. I'll put up a play right now, editing Victor. Apologize. I hope you can understand, considering it's me. I would put up a play right now of the Broncos running this concept to get their only touchdown against the Jets last weekend.
They get it off before the end of the first quarter. Nick's wide open, touchdown!
And we're back. But yeah, as you can see, the post takes away. They're running, I believe in that clip, they're running some sort of cover 4, cover 3, something like that. I think it's cover 3. Whatever it is, it's definitely not cover 2. There's a corner that has the deep assignment, and then there's a safety that has a deep assignment. And the switch allows the post switch, like the post wheel. The wheel's really been the thing that NFL teams have been employing this year. The post allows teams to really it tracks with the corner. So the corner's job is to get him, but once he goes in, he's not just going to pass it off to the safety. He's going to pass it off to the safety. The safety's going to help him over the middle, but the corner's going to keep with trail tech on that side, so they both have leverage, and that's not going anywhere because the corner knows there's nobody else in that deep third, except he's wrong because the wheel came out of the backfield or out of the flat or whatever. It becomes a flat. He turns his head. The second he turns his head, the tight end, the running back, they're going up in the end zone either for a touchdown or a big play. Teams have been running all the time this year, and it is killing cover 3. It is, it's killed quarters a couple of times even. The match system really doesn't have as many answers for it. There is an answer, but it's really tough to see that. And when you do, you still have to navigate through a whole terrain of defenders and offensive players all over the field. So this really is based around the trickery of getting that outside third corner to or quarter zone to turn his hips and look in and focus on this once the post breaks. So the safety and the corner are all latched on here, and the wheel comes wide open because there's nobody to guard this because the deep third's cleared out. You guys understand this concept if you're listening to the pod. I just like to call it out because I saw it run a few times last weekend, and when I'm watching tape, I just don't see this concept often. You see it about as much as normal concepts, but this just seems to have a disproportionately high success rate right now, especially in that area between the 20-30 yard line. They're just not covering it.
I think it makes sense that this is one of the next evolutions of the NFL vertical passing game because right now, if you look at how teams are winning downfield, it's not nearly as much 4 verts. We're just going to have guys run straight and attack open spaces that aren't very well defended anymore because of the rise of match defenses. So with that, you've seen Shanahan-style shot plays where you're throwing 2 deep crossers down the field because what it does is it forces the safety to make a really tough split-second decision because you have to commit all the way to one of those vertical routes. I think of it kind of as an evolution of that where you are stressing a match defender. However, now by attacking him with that delay where you might not initially see that running back or tight end or wide receiver flat route wheel coming up and underneath you, that is how you can scheme up wide open separation, which has become so difficult to do in today's NFL.
Yeah, 100%. And the Colts have also used this quite a few times to get Tyler Warren wide open, to get Jonathan Taylor wide open. I mean, the smartest play callers in the league are using this one right now. And it's not like it's a new thing. It's just I think some people figured out, hey, this is working right now. And they're just running it until teams have to devote their time to it. Because you have to devote energy to that post. You can't just let it go. Like if
post routes are deadly routes.
Yeah, if you've got Jamar Chase running a post route, then of course that corner's going to track with him until he can't anymore, and they're just the wheel route's going to be wide open because you can't leave Jamar Chase one-on-one with a safety downfield. Especially attacking from a post route, unless the safety is 100% fully prepared, it's just not going to go well. So you kind of the corner has to play that responsibility in the deep third for a long time, especially longer when you've got your superstar out there. So that leaves the wheel route a lot more time to connect on it. So it's a really great concept. Look for it if you're watching a play. I'm sure there'll be a touchdown featuring this. next week. We'll see.
Speaking of explosive offense that kind of catches you off guard, you want to talk about Thursday Night Football a little bit?
Yeah.
We're recording on Friday, so it's fresh in our mind. Bengals win this one last second. This was an excellent game. Drama all the way to the finish. 33-31 over on a last second Evan McPherson field goal. And where I want to start with this one is the offensive line for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco has injected some life into this Bengals team that they didn't have previously. He could not be doing what he's doing right now if their offensive line had not stepped up. Now, this is, I think, when I watch the game back on all 22, what I'm going to be looking at. Why has the Steelers' defensive line not been more effective? Because, yeah, they've had their games, but when you have as many guys as they do, I think you expect to be getting really consistent pressure against this Bengals offensive line, but for whatever reason they weren't. Flacco was sitting in there. He was ripping it downfield to Jamar Chase. He wasn't perfect. He missed some throws, but it was enough to outduel the Steelers on Thursday night.
Yeah. That was the most impressive part of the game. How I was going to begin was talking about the run blocking, but the pass blocking was just as good. They were able to create holes for Chase Brown all night. I think he finished with 10 carries for upwards of 100 yards. He had a great night, and it was helped by the fact that he finally had some room to run. He wasn't just being knocked down in the backfield all the time. So he's talented, and the line was getting some push finally. The Steelers should be ashamed, but good on the Bengals for doing that. And I also think it's partly the Joe Flacco effect, as you said, but I don't think anyone in the NFL fears anyone more than Mike Tomlin fears Joe Flacco.
Oh, my God, dude. Did you hear the press conference that they were talking about constantly on the broadcast with Mike Tomlin's remarks about the in-division trade?
Oh.
He was seething about it.
Yeah, he was like, why would you do that?
It's like, well, for the Browns, because we're rebuilding and because we don't want him anymore. For the Steelers, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I didn't hear those remarks on the broadcast. I didn't watch the entire game. I watched most of it, but I've been watching Prime Vision recently. Have you heard of this?
I've watched it a little bit. I'm not like the hugest fan from a how it looks perspective, but I do tune in every once in a while because, like, come on, you get to watch a live game in all 22.
Like, that's sick. I do appreciate the traditional broadcast sense. And considering we end up watching most games back on all 22, at least a little bit. But for Thursday Night Football, I think it's like if it's a bad game, then I can be like, you know what, I'm just going to turn to Prime Vision, and I don't need to hear Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit vamping for 2 hours. Let me just look at the all 22 and see how these guys are actually playing, because you can still learn things from a bad game. But if it's a good game, honestly, I like the drama that the broadcast provides, but it is a very nice one. I did flip back to the broadcast, I think, at halftime, but it was a fun watch. I also was switching back and forth between that and the Tulsa game. So
understandable. What was the final score of the TU game? It's like 41-27.
We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to talk about that.
We
played better.
I got to watch some of it on the treadmill. Unfortunately, the parts I got to watch as I was running on the treadmill were just us giving up shot plays downfield. Yeah. Like, I got to see that. I think it was like a 70-yard receiving touchdown where we only had one guy out there in coverage, and it's just a perfect throw. So that was kind of unfortunate, but then got to go back to my apartment, watch TNF, and that was a fantastic game. I'm not going to say I was impressed by Zach Taylor, but I thought this was an above-average Zach Taylor game, especially with how they finally got Chase Brown some blocking.
Yes.
It wasn't just stock inside zone over and over again. They were actually introducing some man gap stuff. The split zone aspects felt like it was working, where Chase Brown actually had some explosive cutback lanes. And it was fun to read the comments online about people rediscovering the fact that when Chase Brown isn't getting hit 3 yards deep in the backfield, he's actually a really fun, explosive running back. As for the Steelers, I think they're missing Minkah Fitzpatrick out there. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's been very playable for them, but I think you would probably rather have Minkah. There were some missed downhill tackles that I think the Steelers wish that they had back.
Yeah.
They got to figure it out on defense. Aaron Rodgers did impress me overall. He's, I think, what he was last year, where he gets the ball out really fast. He's going to make some good checks at the line, but he did have one really, really ugly overthrow turnover. So those couple plays a game. It's a thin line for the Steelers. Ultimately, I think they're a playoff caliber team. And for the Bengals, got some life. It's really all you can ask for right now.
It's nice to win one. It really, just for the Bengals, and especially over a division rival. I think at the very least you can just say, we got to win, and it always feels good. You get to have Victory Friday. That's always a fun day. You know, you don't got to play for 10 days now. You can just sit on a win for 10 days. And there's not going to be many games like this where you go out there, you beat a division rival who is a good football team. This is one to just enjoy for now, Cincinnati. And they played well. There's things to be excited about. Demetrius Knight, my guy, he had a good game, making plays. He's having a great season. He's getting better every game. We'll have to see it. A lot of people were hating on him in the preseason and in week 1. No, he didn't write back.
Now, before we get into the stuff that actually matters, the reason that you would listen to this podcast, which is, of course, the Breakout players, one more dumbass thing I got to mention. William Wagner, the Bengals long snapper, had a brutal start to the season. I have now ranked all 32, actually 33 long snappers after Charlie Hewlett of the Eagles got hurt. I've charted every single snap. Wagner was sitting at about a negative 0.4 grade, and for context, I think like the top is 0.7 and number 31 or 32, whichever it was at about 0.2. So he was in his whole Owen stratosphere of bad. He has cleaned it up the last few weeks, good. And that is great to see. I'm not ready to say he's good yet. I'm not ready to say that he's the future long snapper for the Cincinnati Bengals, but it's nice that you don't have to worry about the snap quality when you're running Evan McPherson out there to kick a game-winning field goal anymore.
He's no J.J. Jones. If you aren't a regular listener, if you aren't a member of the BTS Army, you don't know that this is the foremost.
It's not good.
This is the foremost metric on long snappers in the entire world. It may be the only metric on long snappers in the entire world, but it is the foremost metric.
Stay tuned for the Pro Bowl episode, folks.
Yes, Pro Bowl episode. You will get to see this full table system in its glory. Watch it. It's going to be amazing.
All right, now, are we ready to get into breakout players?
Let's do it. Do you want to start it off, or do you want me to start it?
Why don't you start it, since I, talked about my thing for a while there.
All right. I'll go offense to defense, I think. We'll start with the offensive players, then venture into the defensive. And it makes sense because I have more offensive than you do defensive. And you have more defensive. So, first thing, I'm going to talk about a guy in my favorite team, a guy who's just been killing it this year, and that's J.K. Dobbins of the Denver Broncos. He's a running back, and he's a rough career so far. Not in the sense that it's really his fault. He's torn his ACL twice, or was it ACL Achilles? He's done that. He's had 2 season-ending injuries and a slew of injuries otherwise.
I was going to say at least 2 season-ending injuries. It feels like every year is getting ended by injury.
Yeah, and if you remember him coming out of Ohio State, he was electric. I wasn't watching tape at that time, but I was watching college ball, and anybody who was above the age of 5 could tell you this guy is one of the most talented football players in the country, and he gets drafted to the Ravens really highly, has a good rookie year, but then he just gets hurt and hasn't been able to get that spark back yet. But man, it seems to at least be in some capacity back with the Broncos. It's enough. That spark, that athleticism, that twitch is good enough to the point it's recovered enough that we can start to see how much he has worked on the mental side of the game, how smart of a football player he's become, how improved he's been from his rookie year. It's not just athleticism. It's not just power and getting low to the ground and kicking guys off. J.K. Dobbins has some of the best vision in the NFL, and he showcased that through the first 6 weeks of the season. I mean, he is just seeing things so incredibly well. When they're running gap like the Broncos like to do consistently, he just sees the cutback lanes better than almost anybody. When I watch, you just watch this guy. Not only is it uber consistent, but he's just always making the right decision. And there are times where he's going to go out there and create extra yards. He's not just like, okay, I'm going to take 3 yards, go down. He's going to create. He's going to go across the formation and make something happen if there's nothing, the middle is clogged. He's going to bounce things outside if he sees the opportunity, but he's not going to do it excessively. He is 7th for yards in the league right now, 11th for yards per carry. He's got the second most 10-plus yard runs. This guy's just breaking stuff off. And I watched all of those. I watched a lot of J.K. Dobbins, but I went back and I watched all of those runs in order. And a lot of them, it was the Broncos' run blocking game is, it's okay. A lot of them, he gets hit 2 or 3 yards in, and he just drags guys with him. Or he just gets up. His contact balance is exceptional. 14th in yards after contact per attempt and 9th in rushing yards over expected per attempt. He's not the best running back in the league because that athleticism, it's just not what it once was. But man, he's developed into a savvy veteran that I would be surprised if we don't at least mention come Pro Bowl season.
I don't think that J.K. Dobbins has ever been a bad NFL running back. It's just been the injuries for him. And I think that's what we all expected when Denver signed him. And then when they drafted R.J. Harvey as well, it's like, okay, we're going to have J.K. Dobbins for the first 4 or 5 games. R.J. Harvey's going to learn a thing or two, and then the torch is going to get handed off. Not the case so far. Dobbins has looked healthy. He has looked excellent. It's made Harvey more of a rotational player, and you've gotten some nice explosive plays out of him as well. I got Dobbins in fantasy in like the 10th or 11th round. I got him copiously low, and I'm enjoying that so far. And yes, of course, I have Harvey as the handcuff because I'm not holding my breath, but we're all hoping J.K. Dobbins can stay healthy and have, a late career resurgence here.
Yeah, and that's the biggest barrier is that health has been great. And you know what? You love to see him on the Broncos because the Broncos, over the past 3 years under Sean Payton's reign, they have been consistently one of the least injured teams in the league. This team knows they have a great strength staff. So far, they also signed a couple of other injury-prone guys. Greenlaw hasn't been able to get on the field, unfortunately, but Hufanga's been healthy, and he's playing the best ball of his career as well. So if you're a guy who just can't stay on the field, maybe you go to the Denver Broncos. Maybe they got something for you.
All right, so speaking of good rushing attacks, to have a good rushing attack, you need guys who can block for you. So you might expect that I'm going to talk about an offensive lineman. No, I'm going to talk about A.J. Barner of the Seattle Seahawks. He is headed into year 2. He was a 4th-round pick last year, so I know this is kind of cheating since he went early day 3 and he is a second-year player,
okay.
But I feel like most people don't even know who A.J. Barner is, and I think you're going to know who A.J. Barner is as his career progresses. He's sitting at 17 catches on 19 targets right now, 205 yards, 4 touchdowns, no drops, converted all 3 of his contested catch opportunities, 1.81 yards per route run, which is 8th out of 45 qualified tight ends. And then what really catches my eye with A.J. Barner, among starters, so I filtered PFF until it was the top 32 tight ends in terms of snaps, he's graded out sixth as far as run blocking. And on the tape I've watched, that feels really low because I'm watching him dig out defensive ends. I am watching him move guys on combo blocks. He's one of the, maybe 8 or 9 tight ends in the entire NFL that can actually become a part of your pass protection. It's not just you're going to offer a little bit of chip help. It's we're going to slide you out, and if they send a linebacker or an overhang defender off the edge, we're going to trust you to take that guy away. So they put a lot on his plate. And I think that's why he's been so good so far this year is instead of playing him in the slot 40% of the time, he has been all inline tight end. I'm talking like 85% inline snaps. They've been doing more of the move tight end stuff with Elijah Arroyo. And now you constantly have the defense losing track of A.J. Barner because he's such a threat giving chip help. He'll block downhill hard one way, and then it's a whip route, and he's going the other way, and Sam Darnold is dropping the ball off to him in space. He's become Sam Darnold's trust target, which makes sense because his hands are absolutely fantastic. He's not going to drop it, sure, but he's also going to dig out the really tough balls down in the dirt. He can lunge one way or adjust back the other way to reel in passes that are really tough. And if you want to throw him a high point ball in the red zone, 4 touchdowns, all 3 of his contested catch looks, he can do that as well. That's something he was also good at last year. But it's really the blocking that's been the progression from him. He's gotten better as a route runner as well. Not the most athletic guy in the world. That's, I don't think, ever really going to be his game. He's not going to be a separator, a man coverage loser type of tight end, but he is savvy in his routes. We talk about zone awareness, sitting down at the right time. He's good at that. One thing I don't think we talk about enough is just route running against zone coverage, because zone coverage in the NFL is not just dropping to a spot anymore, obviously. It's all match principles. It's getting depth. It's shading certain directions to take certain angles away. And when you're throwing these subtle little jab steps and using body language and tempo, what it does is it throws off the matches. And so the defensive coordinator might have had him schemed out of the play perfectly, but he's still finding a way to open that little window, which is all he needs for a big catch, and he has been a thorn in defensive sides. I think he's had more yards each game for like the past 4 games, so he's becoming more and more involved. I don't think A.J. Barner's ever going to be some top 5, maybe like Mark Andrews caliber tight end, but he is going to be one of the premier blocking tight ends in the NFL for a long time to come, and he's going to have an extremely long, productive career as a possession guy.
100%. And guys like that, I think we're starting to see a trend of more of those guys come out of college, where it's not just the past 5 years. There's been a lot of, true receivers, and maybe we can teach them how to block. You know what I mean? And it's big guys who just don't really know how to block quite yet. Instead, we're starting to see these big guys focus on blocking And NFL teams are going to be like, yeah, he can block really well. We know that. So we know we got a solid player no matter what. Because if you take a guy who can catch the ball really well, is a good route runner, there's no guarantee he's going to work in the NFL. The NFL is a different speed. You cannot project that. It's so difficult. You can do your best, but it's really tough to do so. Blocking, it translates. Jackson Hawes, guy we talked about all spring before the draft, and then all the way up to this year about how effective he's going to be. He's been one of the biggest pieces of Buffalo's offense this year just due to his blocking ability, and they're teaching him how to catch the football. He's getting better at it. Not that he wasn't good at it beforehand, but he's becoming more of a receiving threat for them. So I think we're going to start to see this trend. Draft a blocking tight end that has some athletic prowess with the emphasis on, all right, we love you as a blocker. We're going to develop you as a receiver, not the other way around.
And you've got that Jackson Hawes, that blocking presence in the Bills' offense. It's freed up Dalton Kincaid, who's been really efficient through the air so far.
You got those 1-2 punch.
I think that what the NFL is gravitating toward is just as much efficiency and specialization to your role as possible. With, you got to be able to do the other thing, but you got to have a trump card. You have to do something really well that gives you value. And it does feel like we're experiencing kind of a blocking tight end resurgence.
Yeah, and both tight ends, both types of tight ends, that guy who can really primarily work as a receiver but can survive in blocking, and that blocking guy who can survive as a receiver, they're going to start seeing the field at the same time as we start to gravitate more to 12 personnel as a league. So this is going to be something we're going to look for in the draft next year. We're going to be talking about it quite a bit, I think, because we're seeing this. It could have been a kink of the week this week, especially since Darnell Washington just had a game last night.
Oh, they're using him more in that offense.
Man,
it is fun to watch.
Oh, boy. The listed weight of 300-plus pounds.
Yes.
Maybe the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen on a broadcast, because you cannot say he's 260 anymore. He's not, but who knows how big he is. And how the fuck is he moving like that? He's got like he's running like a 4.7, 4.8, at least 300 pounds. It's ridiculous. He's such a fun player, but I think there's nobody like Darnell Washington, but players who are great blockers, receivers and can survive as receivers who can survive as blockers. We're going to put more emphasis on them in the draft. They'll probably get drafted a little bit higher as Hawes has started to work out, as Washington works out, as Barner works out. We're going to see them get drafted. People take shots on these guys, and teams are really going to be starting to utilize both of their tight ends a lot more.
I don't want to derail us, but I do want to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. So if you've watched the Falcons offense recently, they're doing some stuff with like a legit tight end in the backfield and how that can open up angles in the run game as well as the pass game. And you're also seeing more teams really utilize the running back as a pre-snap factor where we're going to have him do some return motion. We're going to change what side he's on. We're going to send him to one side of the field, and that'll set up a bubble screen with momentum. We're going to start him out wide, and that's going to be a man zone tell based on whether they're covering him with a linebacker or a corner. And then when we know that, we're going to motion him back into the backfield, and he becomes a rushing threat again. What if you kind of merge those two concepts, and you put, say, Darnell Washington at halfback with, Jalen Warner, whoever else also in the backfield, and then he just becomes a sixth offensive lineman in pass protection, potentially.
Interesting. Yeah, he kind of becomes the running back a little bit.
Yes,
sort of.
And I know you're limiting your receiving upside a little bit by doing something like that, but what if we start putting move tackles in the backfield and just seeing what the hell happens?
Obviously, the issue with that is that they're not going to be able to get to the other side as quick to stop the blitzing linebacker. But if you know where the pressure is coming from, if you feel like you can isolate that, I don't see why that can't work. That'd be fun.
I wish that Madden still had create a play so you could test out just dumb bullshit like this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
We'd probably get incinerated, but you know what? In theory.
I bet that this happens at least once this NFL season, that an offensive tackle is lined up as not just like a single back running back, because I know teams will do that sometimes with goal line handoffs, but a sidecar shotgun running back. It's going to happen once. You heard it here first. And now we can move on.
If it's one of 31 NFL coaches, we will celebrate it. If it's Zach Taylor, that means we were wrong.
Of course.
Now we're moving on. All right. On to my next player, a guy who we both love, but I got the honor of having him on my list. It's going to be Patriots receiver Kayshon Boutte. He's having a great year, as all of these guys are. But it's really nice to see him having a great year because of not only, if anybody's followed his career, coming out of the draft, there were off the field concerns, and those came into the NFL, and it really started to look like his career was never going to be able to take off because those issues had continued to surface and they were keeping him off of the field. And we still didn't know how much talent he had, but over this season, over the last year or so, it looks like he started to mature. I mean, I saw an interview of him saying, he's not the same person as he was. He regrets doing some things, and he's on the right track now, and you can clearly see it in how he conducts himself off the field. Of course, he's been a great impact for that locker room, but the way him and Drake May interact on the field, it has been such a help for his young quarterback. I mean, this is a wide receiver with room with Stephon Diggs, and I'd say Kayshon Boutte is his trust target. I really would. Hunter Henry maybe, but Kayshon Boutte's role has been almost, not exclusively, but his role has been that intermediate range. I'm just going to get open against zone coverage. I'm going to get open against man coverage. That if they're running cover 3, I'm running the comeback. I am the dig man in a dagger concept. He is the guy open in the intermediate section of the field because he has been elite at finding the soft spot in zones and figuring out how to attack corners. Multiple times this year, he's gotten open on the comeback route against cover 3 and against man coverage, and how he's doing it is these subtle little tells of where he's going, right? I'm going to flip my hips the slightest angle up the field. That gets the corner to turn his hips. I'm coming back. These head fakes, these shoulder fakes, he's gotten so good at that. And if you can get good at that specific thing, you're going to have a role in the league no matter what. And he's gotten really good at that. That's also helped him. That threat of that comeback has allowed him to pull off some magnificent stutters and really helped him with his release as well to beat guys on 9 routes. He's gotten a lot of touchdowns in that way. Him and Drake May also just have some of the best quarterback receiver chemistry. I don't know if you've noticed this, but
oh yeah,
I'm
definitely.
It's evident. Those back shoulder balls are working just as well as any other duo in the league right now. Like, he's just hitting them, and Boutte's catching them. He had that one touchdown against Miami where May just dropped it in the bucket, and he had that one-handed catch. He's playing exceptionally. He's catching the ball really well. I don't think he has any drops in the season. Maybe one. I don't remember. Running really crisp routes. Still not the most athletic guy of all time, but as a number 2, he has been exceptional this year.
I remember him way back in the day in first rounds of way too early mock drafts, and it just didn't turn out that way due to the off-field concerns. Maybe he wasn't exactly as advertised on the field. But what I love so much about that story is how he reshaped himself in an unexpected way. I don't think that 3 years ago we expected that Kayshon Boutte would be a UDFA, right?
I think he was a 6th-round pick.
A late day 3 sort of player who winds up being the intermediate target, who winds up being the consistent pair of hands. That is a huge improvement for Kayshon Boutte this year.
18 catches on 23 targets.
Last year, it was kind of like, yeah, he's one of the few Patriots receivers who has any talent at all, and he's going to run a 9 route, and it's going to get hooked up there, and he's going to make the catch half the time, and he's going to drop it half the time. Clearly, work has been put in during the offseason on the jugs machine because the hands look much improved, and he's become the back shoulder guy, like you mentioned. A super surprising development, both on the field and clearly off the field as well. And that's a super cool story because, he's a guy who is here to stay with the Patriots now. He is valued in that receiver room. Last year, I don't think we were sure of that, and now we are.
Yeah, and it's not just him. Diggs is having a good year. Pop Douglas is smoking people. All 3 of these guys have stepped up in a big way. And I don't think May is having the season he's having without any of these guys, especially Boutte. And it has been great to watch this young offense kind of come together, everybody putting in their part and improving, and he's been a massive part of that. And he will continue going forward. Like you said, I can't imagine this is a guy the Patriots want to let away from him, especially with how much Drake May clearly favors him in the passing game.
All right, and now I'm going to talk about Ed Ingram, guard for the Texans, and I happen to know who your next player is.
Lineman?
So we're going to go back-to-back offensive line here. Best part of the show. I know, that's what surprised me as well when I was doing my research, combing through who I wanted to watch for this episode. We're talking about a Texans offensive lineman in the year 2025, and look, Ed Ingram hasn't been perfect. He has not been shut down in pass pro. But when he got traded, right, from the Vikings for like a real late day 3 pick.
I think it was a trade. Yeah, I don't think he got waived.
It was like a straight up flyer. It kind of got laughed at because it was like, okay, the Texans, who had an awful offensive line last year, just traded for an offensive lineman who's been pretty damn awful for the Vikings. It's like, this is your approach to solving the problem? It's like the ship is sinking, and so your approach is to poke a couple more holes in it. But that is not what Ed Ingram has been for Houston this season. Clearly, they saw something that they liked on film. I kind of get that because he is a good athlete with a lot of play strength, and a lot of the stuff he was struggling with was mental. I mean, that still occasionally crops up. He had kind of a viral clip this season where it's the Texans blocking some random rotational interior defensive lineman with four guys. As Jeffrey Simmons runs directly through and sacks C.J. Stroud. And on that, Ed Ingram pulled directly into the tackle beside him. But I'm trying to figure out what went wrong, like doing the post-mortem on that play. And clearly
I tried for a long time.
They had the wrong Mike linebacker. Like, they set the wrong landmark on that, surely, because it wasn't just him that screwed up, it didn't look like.
But even if they had the wrong Mike, somebody is on the nose tackle. No matter who,
you would think so.
No matter who the Mike is, somebody is always on the nose tackle. No matter what even if you have a miscommunication, there's always somebody that is at least combo blocking that guy. Because I think it was a 3-man rush. Maybe it was 4-man.
It was a light front.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way.
That was bizarre. I mean, looking at where he's aligned pre-snap, that's kind of a tough reach block to pull off.
Obviously, we don't know what was happening.
I guess what the center expected. That was a bad mental error. But the mental errors this season have been dramatically cut down from the ones that were holding him back in the Minnesota days, and that's allowing his athleticism to shine. He has an 86.1 run block grade right now, which is second out of 69 tackles, or 69 offensive guards per PFF, which is pretty nice, and that shows up all the way. There's not really a block that he can't pull off. He's become, I think, a pretty intelligent zone blocker as far as good timing moving off of combos, finding his landmark and blocking the linebacker, but blocking him with the right hip leverage as well to bodyguard that rush lane. And then in man gap plays, he will drive guys off the ball as a base blocker and as a true drive blocker as well, because, down blocking is definitely the easier of the two. He is one of those few guys that you can say, take this 310-pound dude and pry him 2 yards away so that the running back has a little bit of room. He's been a godsend for the Texans in that phase, but he wouldn't be on the field if he was what he was in Minnesota as a pass protector. He looks much better. He still has mistakes where his mirroring footwork isn't perfect, but as far as just keeping his feet moving, not freezing them, staying in front of guys and not leaning, say, against the spin move, he's dialed that way up. His punch timing and his punch accuracy is much better. I'm not ready to say that he's entering like top 10 guard conversations, even though that's where he's graded out so far this year, but he looks good, and that is a huge get for Houston.
Yeah, he's also greatly improved how Houston's been able to handle stunts. He's been solid at that so far. So, of course, some misses, but better than whoever he replaced. Because they were just getting massacred by stunts the entire time. And ever since he's been there, you can see a noted improvement.
The legendary Houston Texans offensive line coaching doing its thing.
Yeah, I credit to him. You know what? Getting that out of Ed Ingram was unexpected, and that's the reason why he's on this show. Probably one of the most unexpected players on this list.
Speaking of teams that you don't really expect to be putting out high-end breakout offensive linemen, you want to talk about your guy?
Let's talk about Chris Paul from the Washington Commanders. And no, it's not that Chris Paul, not CP3. It's CP 75, 71. Which one is he?
He does have kind of a strange offensive line number, doesn't he?
I think it's 71. I just spent a lot of time watching.
I just looked up Chris Paul and expected the right one to come up. How about Chris Paul NFL?
There you go.
Oh, he does come up first. I don't know why I kind of doubted that he would, because there are a couple Chris Pauls in the NFL. 75. 71 at TU.
Yeah, he was 71 at TU, 75. And that's right. This guy, TU grad, Rain Kane. That's what I'm talking about, baby. 1 of 4 in the league. He's doing great, though. We love to see him.
Who's the 4th, if I might ask real quick?
Because we got, Chris Paul, Tyler Smith, Zaven Collins, and Travis Gibson.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't think of Gibson.
Yeah, that's 4. He's an older TU guy. He's in the 2010s. I don't think all of the other guys were 2020s.
I now realize that when they did the TU in the NFL thing up on the Jumbotron at that one game, they just omitted him.
Damn.
Asshole move.
They post him on the Instagram all the time. Why would they do that?
I have no idea.
Either way, they've been TU. If you go to TU, you know that they've been posting about Chris Paul on the Instagram a lot, and it is well-deserved. He's having a fantastic season. I think he's graded out as like a top 5 pass protector for guards as at PFF. That's pretty good. I don't put much stock into PFF, but it at least got me around to watching him. I had already watched him before. I knew he was good, but I really grinded the tape for this episode. And yeah, you talked about Ed Ingram as more of a run blocker, whereas Chris Paul makes his money as a pass protector. He's just been almost unbeatable right now. I think he's got 5 pressures through as many games played, because after about the second week, they were like, man, we cannot go on with this. They benched a couple of guys, and they gave Chris Paul a shot. Now, he played pretty well.
3 pressures.
3 pressures.
All season.
Even better. 3 pressures. Yeah, I have that down. 3 pressures all season. I think he's played 4 games. That's really good for a guard. He's played 5 games. That's really good for a guard. I don't have my facts straight, but he's got 3 pressures through 5 games, and I know he's a guard, but it's still really good. It's top 10. It's top 10 in the league.
That is excellent
for guards. And 7th round pick, 2023, I believe. He was a 7th round pick in 2023, maybe 2022, I forget. Practice squad guy a year ago. Nobody really ever expected him to come out and even be a backup on a team. Maybe he was never going to make 53-man again. He makes the 53-man for Washington last year. He comes in as a couple of spot starts. He looks playable. And then this year, he's benched, but a lot of guys love him. They're talking about him in training camp. Is he going to make the 53? He does. He sticks. And now they bench a couple of guys. They put him in, and he is making them very happy. They decided to keep him. He is definitely one of the better pass protectors in the league. Obviously, you want to see it happen over a long period, but so far, he's been really good. Can't really beat him inside or outside. He's just got such quick feet to mirror guys across. They're not letting guys cross his face. One of the biggest issues last year, because I like watching TU guys. I've watched all of them extensively. One of the big issues with him last year was that he just couldn't pick up on stunts. He was just letting guys go. The mental side wasn't as far along. That is no longer an issue. He is catching guys, and it's really fun to watch. He's also one of the more nasty pass blockers. You know, a lot of guys let guys come to him. No, sometimes, even if he doesn't let them come to him, he's going to shove him. You know, he's going to shove him to the ground. He's a fun player to watch for a guard. He gets really far out. He can get deep into a kick set, and he can stay really small. He can stay really short. His technique is very good. Doesn't really miss many punches. Chris Paul's a really fun player to watch. They got one in him, and you can really tell with this new offensive line for Washington. Replaced Brandon Coleman, and they replaced the right guard, Nick Allegretti. I think they replaced him. Maybe. I don't know. But I know they replaced Brandon Coleman with Chris Paul, and you really tell him and Laramie Tunsil next to each other have been incredible this year. And the Washington O-line is starting to look more like a plus. And some of Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt's success can be credited to these guys being on that side of the line.
They're starting Andrew Wiley there. So you're correct about that.
So Allegretti got benched for Wiley, and both of those guys have played better than their counterparts who they were benched for. And in the run game, he hasn't been elite, but he hasn't been average. He's been above average. Like, he's still been good. He's throwing, that tenacity absolutely applies. He's fast enough. He's quick enough to get out in zone. That's most of what Washington runs. And he's just able to get out there, throw guys around. He'll let guys through sometimes. Sometimes he's not the quickest off the line. You live with it for a 7th round pick 3 years ago. But really unexpected guy for people who hadn't really heard of him, but really anchoring this interior right now.
He's been a huge diamond in the rough for this Commanders team that to start the year looked really dicey on the offensive line. And the Commanders aren't in some luxury situation where they have tremendous depth at every position. They need guys to step up. I mean, that was kind of a concern on the Commanders heading into the year. A reason to be a little more pessimistic about them is, yeah, they had sort of a Cinderella season the year before. They still have roster holes. After Eckler went down, they filled one with Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, who has looked genuinely excellent this season. I mean, you can't always just look at a running back's yards per carry and say he's really good. Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt's been really good. And Chris Paul, a guy who's come out of nowhere, just the definition of a breakout, filling a huge hole for them.
Yeah, he's so good. Where are we going next?
Next up, we have a guy I've talked about a little bit on the pod before. It's my boy Maliek Collins, who has been a game-wrecking defensive tackle for the Cleveland Browns. So far, through 6 games, he's got 18 pressures, which, doesn't sound so impressive, but 4 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, so they're effective pressures. It's not just pushing the pocket and constricting things a little bit. That has its role, but I don't think that's how you win football games as an interior defensive lineman. Maliek Collins has had some fear factor. His 19.1% pass rush win rate is 4th among qualified defensive tackles. I don't think we expected that going into the season. And he's got 6 run stops as well, which isn't nothing because he's not really their preferred run defensive tackle. He's definitely a starter, but there's a rotational aspect to that Cleveland defensive line. And going back, watching his tape with his previous teams, I think what Cleveland has done differently is they've treated him like he's an actual defensive tackle and not sort of a John Franklin Myers hybrid 5-tech type of player. And when you look at his profile, it makes sense to play him as a 5-tech because even at 30 years old enough to be Maliek Collins Sr., he is athletic, he's bendy. It makes sense that you can match him up on offensive tackles because he's got some legit pass rush moves and he should be a really good edge setter. But sometimes it's not how things appear on paper. You have to watch how it actually plays out on tape. And what it looks like is he's playing out of control and he's getting log blocked constantly and breach and contain. And as a pass rusher, he was only okay by basically just treating him as a defensive tackle, a guy who can play at 2-eye, a guy who can play at 3-tech. He has been too much for a lot of pretty good interior offensive linemen so far this season. His go-to move is a speed rip because he is explosive with that first step and he can get low and win the pad level battle and get underneath you. He has a nice club to rip as well. He can win on the bull rush because of that first step. He's got some initial knockback. And then he's got a really fluid spin counter. He can go to the hands are super active. I kind of expected when I'd watch him that all this pass rush production was just being on stunts, bad blocking, being at the right place at the right time. No, he's just consistently beating the guy in front of him and occasionally beating some double teams as well. And in the run game, he's like not a lost cause at all. He is 310 pounds. I mean, if you double team him, yeah, he's probably going to move backwards a little bit, but he can still kind of hold up. And against base blocks, he has made some really impactful plays this season. A guy with a high motor, it feels like he's playing faster this season than he has in years past. Maybe that's just how it works on the Cleveland defensive line. You play beside Myles Garrett, everyone gets a little bit more fired up. He's drawing the double team, so you get to work base blocks, you get to work single-man pass protection more consistently. And now I have 4 sacks and 3 hits on the season, so I'm going 100% every snap because I want more. Hard to say exactly what it is. Maybe this is a flash in the pan for him, but right now, he looks like a big part of an excellent rotation.
Yeah, and it's not just the speed, too. It's when they moved him into 3-tech, like you said, I'm sure the big concern before was, do you have the strength to hold up? He does. He has been able to bull rush guys this year, not at a consistent basis, but enough to the point where you can flash the hands. They've got to respect the bull rush. Then I can go to my rip. I can hit him with the club, go to the rip. You know what I mean? So you have to have that bull rush in the arsenal or else the speed does nothing for you, and Collins has it. So really impressive player. And like you said, he's not a zero in the run game. Browns have a front 7, man. He's playing well. McGuire's playing well, too. Graham, the first-round rookie, he's having a good season. Of course, Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. Carson Schweschinger as the linebacker. That's a nice front 7.
I remember when I was doing my research for the Packers versus Browns game, and I saw, because usually what I do is I go into PFF and I just look at the default lineups to sort of jog my memory, like, these are some of the key matchups to look into. And I see that blue, 91 grade on the defensive line. It's like,
oh, it's Myles Garrett.
Who the hell is that? Why do they have Myles Garrett listed as a defensive tackle? And it's like, oh, it's Maliek Collins. Well, some, how old did I say he was? Some 30-year-old dude. It's a flash in the pan. We're 2 games in. He's lucked into a couple pressures. I don't need to factor this into the evaluation. And then he was a borderline game wrecker against the Packers. And so I got to witness it firsthand. And then I happened to catch the Browns in some other live broadcast. I think that one was against the Ravens, maybe, next week. And he was out there picking up hits in that one. It's like, okay, this is a guy that I have to go in and watch all of his pressures to find out if he's the real deal. Did not disappoint.
And you know what? Sometimes it just takes that long. Sometimes it does, and it is beautiful to see it happen when it does.
All right, who are you pivoting to next on the defensive side of the ball?
We're going to go to another defensive tackle, and this is going to be a guy who definitely has not been talked about. Not necessarily that he should be talked about as a superstar in this league, but a guy who I saw play some snaps against the Titans last week. He's on the Raiders. Jonah Laulu, interior defensive lineman. I think that's how you pronounce this name. Forgive me if I am wrong. Jonah Laulu.
That looks right.
But he had a great game against the Titans last week. I noticed him, and so I go back for this episode. I wrote his name down because we knew we were filming this episode. So I was looking extra hard last week. I was like, okay, is there somebody I don't know on the field? Okay, who's that guy? I'll look at him for a couple plays, and he pulls off a wicked spin move on a guard and kills Cam Ward. And I'm like, oh boy. Write his name down, and then you visit the tape, and it's like, man, this guy's solid. And then you realize, okay, this is an undrafted free agent from a year ago. Guy who got waived before he ever played a snap for the Colts. I believe the Colts they signed him. Got waived. Raiders pick him up. He gets some snaps last year. Somewhat effective. I think like a 4% pressure rate, a few stops. But this year, right now, he comes out. He's got a 9% pressure rate right now. He's got 11 pressures on the season, 4 sacks, 12 run stops, all solid. All very solid. He's not a superstar, but he is another cog in this Raiders defensive line that has been so good. And really, this is kind of just, I also want to give some respect to the Raiders D-line. For as bad as that team has been, Adam Butler, Tonka Hemingway, your guy, Thomas Booker, and Jonah Laulu have just been putting out an excellent season. And I wanted to shout out Laulu for that. He's been very nice in pass rush. He's not the best athlete. He's not even close to the best athlete. That's why he went undrafted. I'm sure I'd never heard of him before. He's not close to the best athlete, but how he wins is just relentless motor and knowing where the quarterback is at all time. If a guy knows where the quarterback is at all time, he will find him. That always is a great trait to look for when you're scouting. It's why we point it out every time we see it, because it's rare in college players, and those guys who have it, generally, it translates. Laulu always knows where the quarterback is, and that has allowed him. He's not winning off the snap. He's not bench pressing guys consistently. It happens. There are a couple of clean spins on tape. Really, how he's gotten his pressures is just, okay, Cam Ward's scrambling. Nobody else knows where he is, but I know where he is. I'm going to peel off my guy and chase him to the sideline. And it's just happened so much that you can't just brush it off as though he got lucky. He knows where the quarterback is. He has the speed and the mindset to chase him in the open field. Reminds me a lot of a former Broncos interior guy, Shelby Harris. Not the fastest guy on the field, not the strongest guy on the field. Nobody wanted it more, and nobody knew where the quarterback was better than he did. I'm a big fan of Laulu. Even though he's a Raider, a big fan of him. I hope that he gets to have more press, because he's absolutely a starter in the league.
Victor, I'm not going to tolerate this Jonah Laulu disrespect because you are spreading misinformation. He was not a UDFA.
He wasn't? He was a 7th-round pick. My fault.
He was number 235 in the 7th round.
He was a 7th-round pick.
Getting a second-year impact from a guy you picked in the 7th round the year prior.
They didn't pick him.
Oh, you're right.
That's why I put him on this list.
Colts. That makes sense. He was effectively UDFA since this is a second chance for him. That is a big find for them. I think people don't realize that when you get drafted in the 7th round, that's essentially being a priority free agent.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like a 45% even initially making the team rate. So finding a steal there for the Raiders. It's been a bad season so far. You got a piece that you like moving forward. You mentioned his pass rush win rate or pressure rate being up. 10 pressures last year on 244 pass rush snaps, 11 on 135 so far this year. Huge gain.
He's definitely improved. And I watched last year, and he was okay, but you can really tell he has kind of refined his technique over the summer. He's gotten a bit, his hands have gotten a lot better as far as hitting guys and moving them backwards. The timing on those spins. When he's winning, he's still a little bit rough around the edges as a pass rusher, but when he's winning, he is winning well and cleanly. And as a run defender, again, he's not the biggest guy, not the strongest guy. He will get moved back by double teams. Overall, a smart run defender who knows how to shed against a base block, and that is something that will just play. That'll play in the NFL because there's a lot of guys who don't know how to do that, and Laulu does.
Okay, so next up, I'm going to talk about sort of a pseudo linebacker. Spoiler alert, it's Jamal Adams. But before I get to that, this conversation reminded me of a player that I knew I wasn't going to talk about on this show because he's too obscure even for that to do like a full segment on. But LaCale London, rotational nose tackle for the Falcons.
Never heard of him.
Has caught my eye multiple times. And part of that is because he's almost a true nose for them. He's not like a, I'm going to play you at 0 or 1 tech every single time kind of player, but let's see on a snap share how often he's playing.
Are there Onyemata snaps I've been attributing to Onyemata that were actually him? Maybe that's...
It's possible. Anyamata's really impressed me.
He's
so
been
far
good
this season.
Maybe I've been attributing some of those.
So I've noticed both. He plays about half of his reps as just a true zero-tech nose tackle, which is quite a few. But he's 6'5", 280.
Ooh.
It looks weird.
Is it nose?
It doesn't look like he should be able to hold up in run defense whatsoever. And he does. And he sheds blocks. And he's smart. And he makes life hard for a lot of offenses. And as a pass rusher, he's been attributed for one hurry. I watched the hurry. I just happened to be watching the Falcons. And I saw, who's that guy who got in on the bull rush? He's been a more impactful pass rusher than one pressure the entire season. Kind of an interesting story. He's dealt with injuries. He's been cut multiple times as well. Went to college at Western Illinois and was obviously a UDFA for the Bears back in 2020. This is a 28-year-old who's really found his fit with the Falcons on probably his third or fourth stint in the NFL, and I like to see that. Just a guy who caught my eye, and I wanted to shout him out.
That's awesome. You love to see guys like that. You know what? You got a dream, and you keep pursuing it. There's a lot of guys who love it, and they just can't get there, but the guys who do keep going after it, and they finally get their shot, and they perform when they do. You just love to see it.
It really only takes one opportunity, one thing to go right.
Keep going.
All right, I got Jamal Adams of the Raiders. Obviously, people know who Jamal Adams is, and he's not a breakout in the conventional sense because he's been good before. But yes, he is a re-breakout at what is truly a new position for him. So people probably know that he's listed at linebacker, and he is not playing any safety for the Raiders. Teams have tried to do this with Jamal Adams before. Actually, it might have just been the Seahawks. Was he anywhere after Seattle?
I don't think so, because he was with New York, then it was Seattle, and then nowhere else, right?
Yeah, I think it was just Seattle.
Maybe was he at Pittsburgh for a while, or I'm thinking of Jalen Ramsey?
I can check that for sure. But what I'm getting at is when it became clear that he was
Tennessee.
Oh yeah. Where did in Detroit apparently midseason. That was a weird year. He barely played there. He played 40 snaps there, so that's just a blip on the radar. As it became more apparent that he's not a high quality cover safety, he got more and more snaps in and around the box where he could be more of an impact. But what the Raiders have done is just going all in on making him a true apex defender. That is his role. He's not really doing anything else. Every snap, he's either playing weak linebacker or he's playing slot corner. And that has allowed him to use his athleticism, which as a linebacker is really impactful. He's just guarding the sidelines, expanding outward and taking that curl area away. And then you can rotate him down and use him as a blitzer. You can rotate him in and use him as a hook zone defender over the middle of the field, where as a former safety, he is pretty heady in that area as a linebacker, since what you're doing as a safety, if you're not good at that, it's just so much harder. Then you move down and the field kind of simplifies for you. And I think what makes Jamal Adams the most impactful is what he does against the RPO game. I mean, even when he's not making stops in that phase, and he's had quite a few of them this year, he's taking away the sideline, so you're not breaking it up the sideline and you're not getting explosives. He's battling through blocks where you put him on a big slot, tight end, wide receiver, what have you, he's going to use his hands and he's going to fight through that. And then in the run game, he's playing extremely fast because it's that will linebacker role where there's not much on your plate from a diagnostics perspective. So I'm athletic. I want to play. I want to hit hard. I am going to take a chance and explode through that gap in the offensive line, and I'm going to make the tackle in the backfield. We've seen quite a few of those from Jamal Adams this season. Still has deficiencies. Still not a good tackler. There's a lot of diving at ankles with him. But the thing is, where these tackle attempts are occurring, usually there are other players around where now he has slowed the ball carrier down in space. He's made an impact because now his teammates can rally and clean up the mess. So it's a very limited role, and I think it's the only one that's suitable for Jamal Adams at this stage in his career. But last year he played 40 snaps for the Titans and Lions. Like, he was a fringe NFL guy. Now he's back. This is a role that really suits him, and I think that obviously it's not going to happen with the Raiders. He could be a piece on, say, a championship team. He's that good at what he does right now.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, you talk about his role as a whale in the run game. We often call that the run and chase guy, the run and chase whale. Yeah. And it's exactly what it sounds like. His job is to run and chase the runner, and often that happens when the runner breaks free. Not for like an 80-yard game, but he gets into open space, and there's the potential for 10, 15 yards, 20 yards even. But Adams, his job is to go out there. I'm the trailing defender. If it's to me, obviously, then it's a different thing. But when he's running and chasing, he's the weak side linebacker. When they run strong side, his job is to run and chase the running back. And even if he doesn't make the tackle, slowing him down will allow those lanes to close, and guys will be able to close in. So it's not just, there are other guys around him. Even slowing him down in the slightest bit, slowing somebody down for even half the second is the difference between 12 yards and an 80-yard touchdown. And that is an invaluable thing, having a linebacker who can come across the formation that quickly, because he can. And when I was watching Laulu, I saw him do this a few times, so I know what you're talking about. And I also saw him make some nice plays as a blitzer. They really love to throw him out there. Who's the Raiders defensive coordinator again? Remind me of his name.
I have no freaking idea, Victor.
Because
Raiders, DC. Oh, Patrick Graham.
Yeah, Patrick Graham. He's just the Raiders defense is playing solid. Is it good? No, but it's not bad. Maybe below average, but it's not a bad defense. I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah, they are punching above their weight class, which is featherweight. It is absolutely featherweight outside of Max Crosby.
It's a low bar, but at least you cleared it. There's a lot of teams who have that low bar and they don't clear it. Baltimore. But it's really nice to see them do that and utilize guys like Adams in good ways. They've also utilized Polamalu.
Yeah, Polamalu? I think it is.
Polamalu in a sort of similar way throughout his career as this kind of rotating slot defender. Will doesn't play well as much because he just does not have the strength or to hold up in the run game, but as a safety sort of guy. So Patrick Graham has experience with using this piece, and with Adams really has those physical traits that he's been looking for at that spot.
The last thing I want to say about Adams, his stats in the box score don't really pop right now. Even he has 18 tackles and he has 5 missed tackles to go along with that. It doesn't look impressive. He's been attributed 13 targets and 11 receptions allowed. There's nothing to write home about there, but it's for 71 yards, an 86.9 passer rating. That is 16th out of 77 qualified linebackers. By bottling up that RPO game and turning those high expected value targets into nothing burgers for the offense, that is where the value comes.
100%. And often players like that in the RPO game, they don't have the recovery speed to even get close to there. Adams does. That's a big asset as well. All right, on to my last guy. Not as much of a breakout as a guy who was not talked about remotely last year, broke out at the end of last year and has only gotten better this year, and people still aren't talking about him, and that is Chaisson, the New England Patriots edge rusher. First round pick in 2021?
Long time ago,
Long time ago. It's been 4 or 5 years and multiple teams since Chaisson was a first round pick, and I know why people aren't talking about him. You see Chaisson, you're like, he's a former first-round pick, which if somebody calls you a former first-round pick, that means you were the worst player to ever play football.
Oh, my God, you're so right
Adam
about that.
Schefter tweets, former first-round pick, it means absolutely nothing. When was it?
That was 2020.
2020, so 5th year in the league this year for Chaisson, and first 3 years were pretty bad. Just really didn't have a feel for the game. All he had was the athleticism and really no technique whatsoever, no bull rush, no nothing. Of course, I don't remember as much about this. I think I didn't watch any of his Jaguars tape for this episode. I've watched some of it before.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, it wasn't great, and he has obviously had the reputation of not being very good. But then he goes to Las Vegas last year. Gets a little bit of time early on in the year, definitely starts to get more snaps as the year progresses. And by the end of the year, he was kind of splitting snaps with Malcolm Kuntz. And he was really good as a pass rusher. He's not really a run defender at all. You could throw him in there and hope for the best, but it's not like he's not on this list because he's a run defender. He's not bad at that necessarily, but he's not on this list because he's a run defender. He is on this list because he's just a really effective designated pass rusher. He has the athleticism to beat most guys to the edge, and then when he doesn't, he can flip the hips, he can hit him with a spin move. He's developed a pass rush plan, and that has been the biggest thing for him to grow as a pass rusher. Develop that plan. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fake the bull, go to the bull slip. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try the outside shoulder, then I'm gonna cut upfield if I don't have it. Or I'm going to cut towards the quarterback if I don't have it. a lot of this, it hasn't been a bunch of schemed up pressure. It has been sort of like, I'm just winning with athleticism. But as we talked about in the last episode, that's a perfectly fine way to win the NFL. If you can win with athleticism in the league, you can win with athleticism in the league, and that's a way to win. And right now he's got 19% pressure rate. I'd say that's pretty good. Something like, I think he's got 2.5 sacks on the year. A lot of these are so-so pressures. But he has had some real pressures where he just gets a quick win and killing guys. But either way, he's been a really effective guy for New England. He was effective for Vegas. He's only gotten better in New England. I like to hear his name called out a little bit more as one of the better DPRs. A guy who just, it's always nice to see that first-round pick that comes in the league, young guy coming out of college, a little bit unprepared, but then he's able to kind of revamp his career later on, find that role for a team, and this defense has been punching above their weight. This team, the New England team, has been punching above their weight. Chaisson's a big part of that. So is Harold Landry on the other side. Love to see him balling out, and I think he will get himself a nice contract at the end of this year because he only got a little bit from the Patriots after, because, okay, you had about 6 games of production last year for the Raiders. Can you do it over season? If he can do it over the rest of the season, he's going to get himself a paycheck.
Back when he was with the Jaguars, he was an eerily consistent 8% pressure rate guy, which as a speed edge is a really, really rough play to be. I understand why he went to the Patriots on a really small contract, more than doubled that this season. Extremely impressive. And I also root for Chaisson because I think he has to be the NFL player with the most total number of realistic combinations for his name pronunciation.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you've got Calavon, you've got Clavon, and Calavin. And then for the last name, Chaisson, and I've also heard Chaisson before. In fact, I think back when he was at LSU, that's how most LSU fans pronounce his name because that is how it would be pronounced in French, I believe. And no matter what combination you make, it's going to sound really cool. So an easy player to root for in that regard.
Yeah, no, he's definitely one of the best. He's the all-name team in the NFL. Perennial all-name team at the very least. The talent is starting to match up to that.
All right, and then this is the last player we have to talk about,
and
right?
I know who it is, and I'm glad we saved him for last.
He is an anti-all-name team guy. It's Jaguars linebacker Devin Lloyd. Don't let the name fool you. He has broken out. He has been an absolute stud this season, atop, I would say for sure, 10 linebacker in the NFL right now. I mean, I put him in the Pro Bowl episode last season.
That just tells you how good he is this year.
What I liked about him when I put him in the Pro Bowl episode was he was an extremely well-rounded linebacker. There was very little that he could not do, very little that made him a liability. So many linebackers in the NFL nowadays where the league has become more about pass defense and speed are going to run fast, and they're going to be confident about where they're going to, but oftentimes it's going to be the wrong place, and they're going to be out of position. They're going to breach the run fit. Even though tackling is at an all-time high, I think a lot of that is safety tackling, for example. There are definitely linebackers getting a lot of snaps right now because they're athletic who don't tackle very well. That has never been Devin Lloyd. He's always been really steady. Ever since he was a rookie, you know what you're getting. This year, he's added something new to the equation. He has been really excellent in pass coverage. He's leading the league right now, I think all positions, with 4 interceptions, which this is funny. So I wrote down the numbers for every player so far. He's got 21 tackles to 3 missed tackles. Really solid ratio. 8 stops. He's credited as having 18 targets, allowing 17 receptions for 173 and a touchdown. And I understand that because 3 of his interceptions were lurked passes, essentially, where he's not the one being targeted. The one where he was targeted is the one where he was mugged up and he expands outward and he undercuts Patrick Mahomes and then runs it back for a huge pick 6. And when you watch those targets that he's allowed, that, he's given up 17 catches, they're not high expectancy targets. I mean, he's playing the hook curl area and a running back comes out from pass protection and sits down and makes the grab for 3 yards and he's there to rally for the stop. Even when he's getting beat on, say, a crossing route because he's not an elite of the elite athlete, you're not getting anything after the catch on this guy because he is a really outstanding tackler. He truly has every type of tackle in his bag where He's strong enough to lower the shoulder and bolt through you. He'll absolutely end gang tackles. But at the same time, he can go low when he needs to. And it's not he's going to flail low and kind of just try and throw himself in your way like you see from a lot of safeties or less experienced linebackers. It's I am going to find an ankle, and that ankle is not going anywhere. And if you have an ankle that's not going anywhere, you are going to the ground. He also has a really excellent hip drop tackle, which people hear hip drop tackle and think illegal. It's only illegal if you land on the guy's rear half, I guess.
It's only illegal if you get caught.
Did you see Chop Robinson actually got a penalty for hip drop tackle?
Okay, that's crazy because I've seen so many, by the definition, hip drop tackles that have not been called this year.
I thought because they're trying to make it like a point to fine them and not call a penalty on them. I actually thought that they kind of got that play right because it was also a little bit of a late hit, and he really did roll up on Bryce Young when he didn't need to. But I saw just an absolute perfect form hip drop tackle from Devin Lloyd where it's in the Chiefs game, and it's Isaiah Pacheco catches a ball in the flats, and you can tell Lloyd wants to get out in front and stop him right there for a gain of like 2. But Pacheco puts a little jab step on him, buys just a bit of room, and you can see sort of a switch flip in Devin Lloyd's brain where he's like, okay, now my priority just needs to be don't get beat up the sideline by this guy. So he comes from behind, he gets the hands wrapped around, and then he just slides the lower half through. No contact like Pacheco's legs where you're risking an injury. Perfect form, completely clean, and that is why Devin Lloyd doesn't miss tackles. He's strong and he's really coordinated. But now, as a pass defender, the IQ's just gone up. He's using every ounce of athleticism that he has. I think he's doing a better job getting depth. You can still beat him in the sort of curl area because that's maybe his weakest route concept, which is interesting. You just throw out a little stick route, any really stop route, and you can maybe get him for 5 yards. But all the crossing route stuff, all the downfield stuff, all the stuff where NFL offenses really make their money, he's taking away this season. Super high motor, super opportunistic. He had a really athletic fumble recovery this season where he's playing it off a short hop like a baseball player, and then he goes into running back mode after the catch. It's funny because
could have been a running back.
He's got like 3 guys trying to tackle him. And it's kind of like in the new Madden games where they're physics-based and you get hit by 6 guys at the same time and somehow you're the one that stays up. He did that, but in real life, there is so much to like about Devin Lloyd. He's ascending as a top 10-ish linebacker in the NFL, and I'm excited to see whether or not he can keep getting better.
Yeah, and honestly, top 10 is a little bit low. There's not a lot of great linebackers in the league right now, and Lloyd's playing like one right now, man. Like you said, he's an excellent tackler, and one thing you didn't mention that I'd like to point out is he's also really great at that technique of opening up the hips and be able to lunge. When a guy tries to track to the outside, he tries to bounce a run outside. Lloyd's there. A lot of guys get beat. They don't have the agility to track with that guy and make that sudden move. Lloyd does. He can open up and drag him down with the hip drop technique or with another one, or just I'm so athletic that I'm actually gonna track with you and just throw you out of bounds. And like you were talking about last year, we both had him in the Pro Bowl. And he was a good linebacker, just didn't really have that one thing that made him great, and I think he's developed that this year, and surprisingly, I do think it is his coverage ability in a certain way. It's those zone eyes, that ability to read what the quarterback's thinking and then find the guy that he's going to throw to before the quarterback throws it. Those interceptions, they weren't accidents. They were good plays. And you watch the tape, and it's not just that he's had plenty of chances otherwise. The quarterback was almost going to throw, and then he didn't. There were a lot more interceptions to be had, and it's not his fault that they didn't get them. It's just he's playing really well, whether the ball's thrown to him or not, consistently. He's not a guy who up and down, you're kind of not really sure what you're going to get on any given game or any given play. He's been reliable in the center of that defense and been rallying his guys, getting them hyped up. He's doing everything you need him to do. He's being physical and nasty as a pass rusher and as a run defender. He's been killing running backs. Getting in there as a run defender, making the tackles. Obviously, Foye is the big tackle guy, but Lloyd's still going to get his tackles. Smart player who knows how to go with the flow of the run. And the coverage has improved so much as a man defender, but as a zone defender, that has been the biggest thing that he's improved. And it's really great to see him just improve almost linearly. You don't see that from linebackers much anymore, but he's had such a great progression. Campanile obviously deserves. He's calling a great defense, and he's really been able to use Lloyd as a blitzer in such an effective way. Definitely unlocked him as a blitzer more than any other year of his career. That's become such a big part of his game as well. He will make the Pro Bowl episode. He's in the conversation for All-Pro right now, and I don't really know who you'd put above him. Maybe his teammate. I don't know, because Foye is also having a great year, but we'll obviously see. That's a while away, but Devin Lloyd, we could talk about him for a while. There's still more to be said. He's such a talent.
4 QB hits, that's tops among linebackers this season. It's not just like Anthony Campanelli scheming up an A-gap blitz where he's unblocked either. He's winning with the spin move, he's winning with core strength, he's winning with intelligence and timing. And even though he looks kind of small on the field, he doesn't look like a full-size linebacker. They do use him as a more traditional 4-2 a good percentage of the time, with Foye being more of the run-stopping guy. He doesn't really get moved off his spot. He'll really plant the feet and then fire up into contact, and then he's got good hands as well to, after that initial pop, bat you down, sneak around you, and find a way to make the tackle. Plays really hard every single snap. Really nothing not to love about Devin Lloyd.
Absolutely. He's a star. He's the best player we talked about today.
I agree.
Like, Dobbins is good, but Devin Lloyd's the best player we talked about today. Those are the two guys that I think really are Pro Bowl caliber players.
Absolutely.
Dobbins and Lloyd.
All right, I think that's going to do it on our Breakout Players segment.
Do we have any honorable mentions? Any guys that you just want to throw the names out there? Having good seasons, but we just couldn't get to them today.
So I mentioned JSN. I mean, absolutely. You watch that any given Sunday, JSN is out there making plays. Tarheeb Still for the Chargers has been a little grabby this season, damn near unbeatable outside of that. I mean, he catches my attention just about any time I watch the Chargers, how physical he's been, even when he's been in the slot, and it's harder to be physical. Just sticky downfield, man coverage, zone coverage. He's been excellent. Tier Tart has been really good for the Chargers as well, even though it's been kind of a down year for the Chargers so far because you've been beat to hell and you're worried about how you're going to do for the rest of the season. They're still having that effect where so many guys coming out of the woodwork, especially on the defensive side of the ball, makes you feel really comfortable about the hands that this team is in long term.
Yeah, they're competing out there. You love to see it. And Still surprised everybody his rookie year, and then he surprised everybody his second year by getting better. Love to see it. A guy I really wanted to talk about today, but I knew Elson was going to talk about an interior offensive lineman. I had Chris Paul on the schedule. I couldn't get to Ryan Newsel, the Atlanta Falcons center, but man, he's having a great year. Watch him against Buffalo. He's just doing so well. Just filling that Drew Dahlman role. Atlanta was really worried who's going to come in place of him. Newsel's been incredible. I think he's allowed 4 pressures on the season. Great pass protector. Incredible zone blocker as far as just getting to his landmark. I wouldn't say incredible, but he's been very good. Him, Bergeron, and Lindstrom, best interior run game in the league, I'd say, and Bijan's benefiting from it. Also, another guy I want to give credit to. I want to be the first person to say his name in any podcast because I doubt that his name has been said too many times. Let me remember his name first. But he is the Falcons O-line coach, and yes, Dwayne Ledford. He's the Falcons offensive line coach and run game coordinator. Man, I think this guy's going to go places. Maybe 49 years of age right now, some 50, somewhere around there, but he's been the O-line coordinator for 4 years. He's been the offensive line coach for 4 years, and last 4 years have been really good. Despite the injuries for Atlanta, when this offensive line has been healthy, they've just been churning out guys like Drew Dahlman. Exceptional season last year. Chris Lindstrom has been playing the best ball of his career, obviously, for the past few years. Jake Matthews still hasn't regressed, somehow defying age. Caleb McGarry, got a lot of great play out of Caleb McGarry, a guy who we didn't think was going to do much after a really rough couple of years. Consistent play from this line, and Newsel, he's done it again. Incredible player in Ryan Newsel. I mean, he's not like a lead or anything, but he's a quality starter at center, which is hard to find right now. And the fact that you were able to find that after finding another diamond in the rough quality starting center in Drew Dahlman is really impressive. He's been probably better than Dahlman has this year. So the decision to let Dahlman walk looks good now because of how well Newsel is playing. Got promoted to run game coordinator this year, and run game looks pretty good in Atlanta. So I don't know. Dwayne Ledford, a breakout star himself, a name to keep an eye on for offensive coordinator conversations in the coming years.
Speaking of blocking, one guy who I think is breaking out this season who you're probably not going to see in the box score is Michael Mayer for the Raiders. Yeah. We were talking earlier about having a designated move tight end and having a designated blocking tight end, and people know that exists. But when you start watching more All-22 and you see how it plays out as far as motion and personnel packages and pre-snap looks, I realize that with Michael Mayer out, I think the drop-off of the Raiders' offense is very similar to what it is when Brock Bowers is out. And that just caught me off guard, realizing how impactful Mayer is, because with Mayer out, they don't really have a guy they're comfortable with as that, I guess, second tight end in the offense. And they start having Brock Bowers do the Michael Mayer things and chip blocking and playing in line. And that just takes all of the life out of the offense because you need his dynamism in the slot versus when you get Mayer back and he can be the guy who's making slice blocks for you. He's the guy who's making lead blocks on concepts like insert. He's just reliable. You know where he's going to be as far as sitting down in the right spot on a drag route, beating zones, being available, boxing guys out, and making the catch consistently. He's a real cog in what they want to do. And I think that when he's out, that offense is going to be rough. When he's in, Raiders can beat people. I mean, he was backing against the Titans, I believe, and they went out and beat the Titans.
A good game. Yeah, Mayer's one of those guys who, coming out of college, expected to be this really good player. Year one, they didn't use him much first 2 years, but this year he's really found that role of, I'm going to be a blocker. I can also be a block and release guy. I'm a sufficient pass catcher. He's really, seems like he's honed that athleticism to at least where he can move at NFL speed. That's really good to see. They were trying to trade him for nothing. They couldn't trade him for anything, and it looks like that paid off for them. They got lucky because he's been a really big part of this offense. Also, credit to him because I don't know if Genty would have the success he would have if Mayer wasn't on this team because it's been rough. He's the best blocker on some place, like legitimately.
And dude, Genty is so good. Like, I'm glad we're starting to see that a little more. Oh my God. As the season progresses, people are going to realize Genty is already a top 10 running back in the NFL, and maybe more.
Yeah, he's a stud.
One last guy I want to mention that I'll let you talk about a little bit. Kind of the prototypical example of we can't talk about him in a podcast like this because it's too obvious. Nick Bonito.
Oh my God. Dude, 26% pressure rate. You know that? 1 in 4 times he's making the quarterback nervous. He's got 8 sacks through 6 games.
And it looks sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. Legit. The way he's playing. Yeah, Nick Bonito, man, he's incredible.
PFF has him at 10 sacks, by the way.
Okay, but like real sacks, you know what I mean? I get the PFF has him at 10 sacks.
What they do is, all they do is take a half sack and make it a full sack.
Yeah, he's had 4 half sacks this year. But 8 sacks in terms of real stats, and oh man, it's sustainable. He could gun for the record, man. He really could. The way he's playing, he really could. And you know what's more impressive? The fact that he wasn't on my list. You know who was? Jonathan Cooper, the other guy.
That is a great point. You are noticing Jonathan Cooper on tape in a way that, yeah, he's been a good player, but you haven't really felt his presence before. You do this year.
He's a star. Benito's a star. And they both look like they're not schemed up stars. Benito last year, there was a certain element of scheme to him. We talked about him a lot last week as far as adding that speed to power has really improved his game. He's a top 5 edge rusher, maybe a top 3 in the league. He's that good. And it makes sense to have him on this podcast because it's been a breakout. He had 14 sacks last year, and he's been a lot better this year. Broncos could have a back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year because right now I don't see anybody beating him out.
So Bonito is like the archetypal sack artist. People talk about sack artists and just mean like anybody that got a decent number of sacks. Bonito is like the ideal high pressure to sack ratio guy.
Yeah.
Last year he had 15 sacks, 11 hits, and 35 hurries. So doing some quick mental math, about 40% of his pressures wound up being converted into a sack or a hit. This year, 10 sacks, 7 hits, 12 hurries. Just a hot knife into the backfield.
And he also has the highest pressure rate in the league.
By like a lot, I assume.
On the 25th most pass rush snaps in the league. I think he leads the league in pressures too. Like 25th most pass rush snaps, leads the league in pressures. Leads the league in sacks. This guy's a stud. Broncos got a great one. And then I would be remiss to not mention Spencer Rattler. I'm wearing a Saints quarterback jersey. I forget, he's not number 9, but obviously. I would be remiss not to mention him. He's been a starter this year, and they got him in the 5th round last year. They drafted a 2nd-round quarterback this year, and it doesn't look like he's getting the job. Spencer Rattler's having a really nice year. He just looks poised, calm under pressure. He's reading the field. He's seeing his receivers. He's seeing the defenders a lot better. He's not throwing to them as much. So really love what I'm seeing from him, and hopefully he can continue it.
Spencer Rattler was, I think, the first quarterback that I ever watched as far as trying to actually evaluate college talent. And that's back when I was a freshman in high school, is during COVID. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I loved Spencer Rattler when he was at Oklahoma because he did have like a dynamite arm and good mobility and made a ton of plays that season. In hindsight, I can understand that there were some mental aspects of the position, like decision-making and processing and fluidity through progressions that would be concerns on Spencer Rattler. But that was very fun tape to watch. It was great to see his career rejuvenation at, oh my God, where did he go to college? Yeah, South Carolina. And I didn't mind him in that draft cycle. I did watch his tape, and I thought that the Saints maybe even got a value on him. Sparing out that way this year. He's been pretty damn solid, actually.
Yeah, like a guy, and it's one that most people are like, okay, he may not ever be a starter for a team again. Looks like he will be at the very least. He's definitely going to be a guy that somebody pays next year if they get rid of. He will. Somebody might give up like a pick for him if they go with Shuck. I doubt they're going with Shuck. I think they may just end up going the route of, all right, we're going to suck this year. Let's take Ruben Bain. Why don't we can do that? We can take Ruben Bain and we can play with Spencer Rattler at our quarterback.
Here's a dumb hypothetical for you. Would you rather pay Justin Fields $20 million a year?
Spencer Rattler. I'd so much rather pay Spencer Rattler. I'd rather pay Spencer Rattler $30 million than I would Justin Fields $20 million.
Completely fair.
All right, I think that's it for the Breakout Players segment. That was great. What do we got now?
Finally, we have our bold prediction segment.
The wheel!
Which means the wheel makes its return.
We got to get a wheel spinning sound effect.
Yeah, like on Wheel of Fortune. You're totally right.
Maybe I'll add that in post. Maybe next time.
We've already added some workload to editing Victor's plate so far. The promises of highlights, those are just kisses of death.
Yeah, exactly. I've done that like twice, haven't I? Or once. Just once for the switch play.
What do you mean?
I just did I just promised myself highlights once.
Yes, just on the switch play.
That's fine. That's fine. If you're not familiar with the wheel, he has a wheel of 10 prompts where we spin it, we both spin it, or he spins it for me. We both spin it, and one of those prompts gets selected, and we get to make a bold prediction in relation to that prompt. So what's one of the prompts?
Bust or breakout.
Bust or breakout. Maybe we won't do that one for this episode because we've done that quite a bit.
So bad.
So let's hope for a different one.
All right, I am spinning the wheel, and I will tell Victor what it allegedly lands on, since I am spinning for him. One of my favorites, a game changer.
Nice. Oh, wait, so this is for me?
Yes. Or actually,
why don't you?
Yeah, why don't I take this? Since I absolutely love the game changer one. One thing that occurred to me with how good special teams, and you know it's going to come back to special teams, with how good special teams is getting, punters are, they're adding distance, but punts are more challenging to catch than ever before. It feels like the return game has been strong this season as far as punt returns, with special teams coordinators actually more so drawing up plays. Everybody knows how good kickers have become, but kickers in the kickoff game, oh my God, to try and return what these kickers are doing, because you get penalized if it goes into the end zone, essentially, like that's a loss for the offense. It's like fielding a ground ball, but on steroids, because it's an oblong object and you got no idea what the hell it's going to do, plus kickers are kicking knuckleballs. I was watching a high arcing punt bounce into the end zone for a touchback for about the fourth time in that game I was watching, and I was thinking, why are gunners not better at this? Because being a gunner is an extremely challenging job. Like, a gunner tackle is different than any other type of tackle in the NFL. Your job is just to get down there, make the returner think twice, and kind of hold him up, deny an angle. And if you manage to get an ankle and actually bring him down, that is one hell of a play you just made. One thing I think would be more sustainable, punters emphasize hang time a little bit more, and then you start doing baseball short hop style drills, as well as some acrobatics work for keeping the ball out of the end zone. There have been missed opportunities this season because a guy's foot was in the end zone. I mean, we saw the Browns long snapper Rex Sunahara, who's been great outside of this, dive on top of a ball that had stopped at about the 2-yard line. He had a toe in the end zone. It went out to the 20. this is an area that we can improve. This is a way that we can steal some yardage over the course of a season. And what we have learned about the NFL, if there is a way, a technique, beyond just having good players, that you can steal a little bit of yardage, it's going to get figured out. And I think that could be one evolution of special teams moving forward.
That was awesome. Why didn't I go first? Because, I'm not going to be able to top that. That was great. No, I definitely think that'll be a really important thing. Because like you said, they're looking for any competitive advantage, and special teams is a massive part of the game. It's not, some people give it too much credit. A lot more people give it way too little credit.
All right, now spinning the wheel for your prompt.
Let's see it.
Not a legend, it's right there.
Playoff prediction. All right, this is sort of easy, I guess. Well, it's not easy because it brings me to my the kink of the week that I didn't go with. I was between two. The one that I didn't go with is, are there any good teams in the NFL? Like, is anybody actually good, dude? Is there any roster that is a good fucking football team? I don't think so. We'll see. Let's see. Let's make a playoff prediction right now. I guess I can do anything. I could say somebody's going to make it. I can say somebody's going to miss. You know what? I think the Seahawks win the NFC West. I don't know how big of a bold prediction that is. Let's say this. I think Seahawks are a top 3 seed.
Okay, I like that.
End of the year. I think that's relatively bold. Bold enough, you think? Because the Rams are still in that division. That's still a good team.
And the 49ers are leading the division
are good
right now, right?
Yes, I think the Seahawks, so I'm going to say the Seahawks win this division. They're a top 3 seed, maybe even top 2. You know what? Yeah, they're going to be a top 2 seed. It's going to be the Buccaneers and the Seahawks. Number 1, number 2. NFC Championship rematch of that game would go so
sick.
Unbelievably hard. That would be amazing. Can you imagine the championship weekend graphic with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on it? Please allow it to happen. But yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to be a top 2 playoff team in the NFC this year. This is a good football team, man. And we did buy or sell last Tri-Weekly, and we bought Seattle, and man, has that stock paid dividends because they just keep getting better. Last week, they held the Jaguars' offense to 12 points, down their best defender, Devin Witherspoon. He didn't play, right?
Julian Love as well.
Julian Love, incredible player, didn't play. Kobe Bryant, did he play?
Oh, he might have been out. I think they were down 3 starters in the secondary. Yeah. At least. They were beat up.
He's also a talent. This defense is incredible, and it's very deep. Mike McDonald, the second year of that experience, has been better than we could have expected, and Sam Darnold is playing at an MVP level right now. The line is playing better in the interior. Not great, but better than expected. Charles Cross is a premier pass protector in the league. JSN looks like a top 5 to 3 receiver right now. He's playing like it, at least. Like you said, they got A.J. Barner. Ken Walker's had a great year. This just feels like a team who it's their year. They are here to win football games. Only reason they have 2 losses on the schedule, really close loss to the team that I think will be number 1 in the NFC, Tampa Bay. And with their starters, I think they probably win that game. And then who was their other loss? It was to the Niners on a really weird game, week 1. They lost to the Niners in a super weird one against a really good football team that was fully healthy. And they barely lost in a game that could have gone either way. This is a team that's not going to get beat bad by anybody. They're going to be in every single game. They're going to win a lot of games. They're going to be a top 2 team in the NFC playoffs.
I feel like this year's Seahawks have kind of emerged as a second team for me. I know that's a lot to say, but they are so incredibly likable. I mean, all the way down to having Mike McDonald as the head coach. I love the Mike McDonald style defense. It's not just an excellent defense, kind of the meta that I think the NFL is trending towards. It's a really fun defense to watch. They have a lot of players on defense that I like. I will always root for Sam Darnold in a comeback story like that. Now I get to root for him even harder because he's not on the Vikings. I think Robbie Oots is hurt, but Robbie Oots, the fullback, who was either like a 7th-round pick or a UDFA for them, was just fucking taking names to begin the season. They got Torrey Horton out there returning punts for touchdowns. I love me some Seattle Seahawks right now. And oh my God, Seahawks-Buccaneers, a rematch of that. Like you said, what an absolute slugfest that would be. I would love to see that game.
So amazing.
You know what wouldn't be amazing? Is that because there are no good teams, the Chiefs just win the Super Bowl.
Okay, but they're also not a good team. I want to make this clear. Game against the Lions were hurt. We forget this. You called it out. That was a bad prediction. Me saying the Lions were going to win by multiple scores.
I did wind up picking the Lions as well after I really thought about it.
I was a lot more confident than you were, though. Like, that was embarrassing. Chiefs are clearly solid, but I don't know if they're good. So we'll have to see. Seahawks will beat them.
Yes!
Yes.
Sam Darnold, the savior we didn't know we needed.
Incredible.
All right, we ready to get out of here?
Let's do it.
I think that was a really fun episode.
Oh, this was great. I'm excited for the next Tri-Weekly.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay hard.